I was humming as I poured my coffee, the morning sun spilling over the kitchen counter. It felt like any other day, except for the unease curling in my chest. "Mark's coming over later?" I asked, glancing at Lena. She didn't answer right away. Her eyes were fixed somewhere behind me, distant, cold. "Yeah. I think so," she said finally, barely above a whisper. I frowned. "You think so? What does that mean?" She looked down, twisting her fingers. "Nothing. Just nothing." I felt it. That tiny pulse of fear. "Lena, talk to me. What's going on?" She sighed and turned away, pretending to busy herself with the dishes. I wanted to shake her, demand honesty, but something in her expression stopped me. The doorbell rang. Mark stepped in, smiling, carrying his usual confident air. "Morning, man," he said. I smiled back, but it felt hollow. "I need to tell you something," Mark said, glancing at Lena. My stomach twisted. "It's about Lena." "What about her?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He hesitated, rubbing the back of his neck. "I didn't want to get involved, but you deserve to know. She's been helping another man, raising his child behind your back." The world tilted. "What?" I felt my knees weaken. "Mark, that's not funny." "I'm not joking," he said firmly. "I saw texts, emails, everything. She's been lying to you for months." I didn't want to say anything, but you had to know. I shook my head, disbelief roaring inside me. No, this can't be true." "Lena," I turned to her, heart pounding, eyes searching for even a flicker of denial. She didn't flinch. "It's true," she said softly. "Why? Why would you do this?" My voice broke. "Weren't we?" "Don't," she interrupted. Her eyes were distant, almost empty. "Don't make this about us. It's not about you." I took a step closer, anger bubbling beneath my shock. "Not about me. Lena, we've shared everything. Our life, our home, our plans. How can you say it's not about me?" She didn't answer, only stared at the counter, hands trembling slightly. Mark's voice cut through. "I'm sorry, man. I didn't want you to find out like this. I need air," I muttered, storming out onto the balcony. The city below felt foreign, distant. My chest burned. How could she do this? I heard her footsteps behind me. "Please. Try to understand," she said softly. "Understand." My laugh was bitter. "Do you hear yourself? Understand. I've trusted you with everything, Lena, everything. I didn't mean for it to happen like this." Her voice cracked. "But it did," I said, gripping the railing until my knuckles whitened. "It did, Lena. You've been living a lie. How long? How long have you been hiding this?" She flinched at the sharpness in my voice. "Months. Almost a year," she admitted, each word a dagger. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of it all crashing down. The life I thought I had, the perfect job, our happy home. Our plans, it all felt like smoke slipping through my fingers. Mark stepped closer, placing a hand on my shoulder. "You're not alone in this, man. You'll get through it." I pulled away. "I don't know if I can. I don't even know who she is anymore," Lena whispered. I still love you." I laughed hollowly, a sound devoid of humor. "Love? You think love excuses betrayal? You think saying it makes this okay?" She looked away, tears brimming. "I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. You did." My voice was quiet now, shattered. "You broke everything, and now? I don't know how to pick up the pieces." The balcony felt empty, cold. The sun shone, but it was no longer warm. My hands shook as I leaned against the railing, mind racing with questions, anger, disbelief, and heartbreak. The walls of my life had collapsed, and for the first time, I truly felt alone. I didn't notice when Lena left the room. I didn't want to see her leave. I just stood there, staring at the city, trying to hold on to the last fragments of the life I thought I had. I couldn't stop staring at her. The words still echoing in my mind. It's true, my own home felt alien. Every corner a reminder that nothing was as I thought. "Why, Lena?" I demanded, my voice shaking. "Why would you do this to me? She looked down, twisting her hands together. I didn't plan it this way. Didn't plan it. I laughed, hollow and bitter. Lena, you've been lying to me for months, hiding a whole life behind my back, and you call it unplanned. Her lips trembled. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought I could manage both. Manage both. I repeated, disbelief burning through me. You mean live a lie and pretend everything's fine while betraying me? She flinched at my words. I never wanted to hurt you. You have to believe that. I shook my head, pacing the living room. Believe it? Believe that you helped another man raise his child, all while I thought we were building a life together. How am I supposed to believe anything from you? She finally looked up, eyes glistening. I loved you too, I really did, but I got pulled into something I couldn't explain. I didn't know how to say no. Say no. My hands clenched into fists. You had a choice, Lena. Every day you chose to lie, to cheat me emotionally, and now you tell me you loved me? Do you even hear yourself? She tried, but her voice faltered. I ran a hand over my face, trying to calm the storm inside. Do you realize what you've done? I trusted you with everything, my heart, my life, my dreams, and for what? Another man's child. I was scared, she whispered. Scared of losing him. Scared of being alone. I didn't want to hurt anyone, really. You hurt me, I said quietly, my throat tight. Every day, for months, you watched me believe in something that didn't exist. I know, she said, voice breaking. I should have told you sooner. Should have. I laughed bitterly, pacing again. You should have told me before this entire life we built became a lie. How am I supposed to forgive that? She sank into the couch, covering her face. I don't expect forgiveness. I wanted you to know the truth. Truth? I asked, kneeling slightly, voice low but fierce. Truth is, you left me. Emotionally, completely, and now I'm supposed to move on as if nothing happened. I wanted to stay. I really did, she said, tears slipping down. But it got complicated. I thought I was doing the right thing for everyone. The right thing, I repeated, voice rising. Do you hear yourself? You destroyed us. For what? For a lie you thought was right. The apartment was silent, her quiet sobs filling the space between my rage. I could feel my hands shaking, my chest tight, and yet part of me still wanted to reach out and pull her close. But that part was weak, naive, and drowning in betrayal. You don't understand, she said softly, her voice trembling. I couldn't just leave him. He needed me, and I didn't. I shouted. I was here. I was always here, Lena. I loved you, but it wasn't enough because it wasn't what you wanted. She flinched at the force of my words, shrinking back. I never wanted to hurt you this way. Yet you did, I said, my voice shaking but steadying. And now, I don't know if I can ever look at you the same. Or myself. I rubbed my face, feeling the crushing weight of disbelief. Nights blurred into insomnia. Memories replaying like a cruel loop, her laughter, the way she held my hand. Now tainted by the secret she kept, Mark's words kept echoing in my head. She's been lying to you for months. Every text, every smile, every I love you now felt like a betrayal etched in my soul. I wanted to scream, to shout at the walls, to make someone, anyone, feel this storm inside me. But no one could. Not Lena, not Mark, not even myself. I need time, I said finally, voice hoarse. I can't time, she whispered. Do you mean separate? Yes, I said, swallowing hard. I can't be around this. I can't pretend it's okay. I need to remove you from my life. Maybe then I can start breathing again. She nodded slowly, tears streaking her face. I understand. I wish things were different. I looked at her one last time, every memory, every lie colliding in my chest. So do I, Lena, so do I. The room was heavy with silence as I walked out onto the balcony, staring at the city that no longer felt like mine. Sleep didn't come that night. Every moment was consumed by what she had done, by what I had believed, by the emptiness left behind, and somewhere deep inside, I knew I had to start over, but the thought of moving on felt like trying to breathe underwater. I woke up to the quiet of an empty apartment. No laughter, no smell of coffee brewing, no Lena humming in the kitchen. Just silence. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the ceiling. How do I live with this? My phone buzzed. Sarah, of course. She always knew when to check in. "Hey," I muttered, voice rough. "Hey you," she said softly. "How are you holding up?" I scoffed, running a hand through my hair. "Do you even want the truth, Sarah? Because it's a mess. A total mess." "I can handle messy," she said. "Talk to me." I let out a shaky breath. "It's everywhere. At work, at home, in my head. I see her in every corner. I go to the kitchen, and I almost expect her to be there, smiling, like nothing happened." "I know," Sarah said quietly. "But you can't let it consume you. You have to breathe. One day at a time, breathe." I repeated bitterly. "Do you know what it feels like to wake up next to someone you trust, only to find out they've been living a whole other life without you?" "I can imagine," she said. "And you're not weak for feeling this. But hiding in your apartment won't fix it." "I'm not hiding," I muttered, though the lie sounded hollow. "I'm surviving." She laughed softly. "Same thing sometimes. Listen, why don't you come out tonight? Just a walk, some air. Let me drag you out of this mental prison." "I don't know, Sarah." "You know, deep down," she said. "You need this. For yourself," I sighed. "Maybe." Work was my refuge, at least a little. I threw myself into emails, reports, meetings. But even there, Lena haunted me. I'd catch a colleague sipping coffee and think it was her, hear a laugh in the hallway, and my chest would tighten. I tried to focus, I really did, but memories surfaced uninvited. I remember us cooking together, her stirring the sauce, humming that stupid tune, and me tasting it, saying, "Needs more salt," and she'd roll her eyes playfully. Now, that memory felt like a cruel joke. Then another, her laughing at my terrible dance moves in the living room, and me twirling her around, completely oblivious. My stomach twisted. At lunch, one of the co-workers leaned over. "You're okay, man? You've been quiet lately." I forced a smile. "Yeah, fine. Just tired." They nodded, unconvinced. I hated that. I hated looking fine when everything inside me was crumbling. Later, I walked home, the streets empty, the city moving without me. I noticed the little things. The corner where we used to meet for coffee. The bench we sat on during lazy afternoons. The sound of children laughing in the park where we'd picnicked. Every memory, a knife. "Stop," I muttered aloud, though no one was there. "Just stop haunting me." Sarah called again. "How's it going?" "I hate it," I admitted. "I hate seeing her in my mind all the time. I hate seeing her with someone else online, living this other life. It feels like I'm a ghost in my own world." "You're not," she said firmly. "You're alive, and you're stronger than you know. You'll get through this, I promise." I rubbed my face, trying to stop the tears that threatened. I want to move on. But part of me still wants to see what she's doing, even if it kills me inside. Sarah's voice was steady. "Curiosity won't heal you. Focus on yourself. Make a life she can't touch." I nodded, though the ache in my chest refused to leave. I started small, going for walks, taking up running, reading at night, instead of staring at the ceiling. But every victory was tempered by memories of Lena, her laughter, her smile, her betrayal. I found myself watching her from afar. Subtle glances when we crossed paths in the grocery store or the park. She didn't see me, but I saw everything, the way she moved, the way she spoke to others. And every time, it felt like salt on an open wound. At night, I lay awake, thinking about revenge, about forgiveness, about leaving everything behind. I knew I had to decide, eventually, how I would live with this. But tonight, all I could do was breathe, and let the city's hum remind me that life continued even if I felt frozen. I saw her again yesterday, by chance, Lena, with the child she had been raising. But it wasn't the perfect picture she always tried to show. The smile she wore was forced, her eyes tired and hollow. I watched from across the street, my stomach twisting. "Mark," I muttered into my phone, keeping my voice low. "You won't believe what I just saw." "I'm listening," he said. Calm, as always. She's a mess. The apartment, the kid. Everything looks chaotic. And he's gone. Her new man, he left. Finally, Mark said quietly. I knew karma would catch up. I frowned. "You sound satisfied." "I am," he admitted. "Not because you're happy, but because it's real now. She can't hide behind lies anymore. I feel something else," I said. "I can't decide if I'm relieved, angry, or, I don't know, sorry for her." "You're human," Mark reminded me. "Don't fight that. Just don't let it control you. You decide what to do next." I wanted her to be happy, I confessed. Even after everything, part of me still wanted her to be happy, but seeing her struggle, it's different. Different how? Crushing, I said. "I feel like justice, finally. But it's not a sweet victory. It's messy. Real life doesn't give neat endings." Mark chuckled softly. "Life never does. That's why you focus on yourself. Build a life she can't ruin." I sighed, running a hand over my face. I've been trying. Work, routines, friends. But every step forward feels tangled with her memory. "You'll untangle it," he said, slowly. "You just have to keep moving." Later, I ran into a neighbor while taking out the trash. Mrs. Patel, always peering over her fence. "Rough morning?" she asked, tilting her head. "You could say that," I replied. She nodded knowingly. "I see her sometimes too. Looks like life isn't as perfect as she wanted everyone to believe." I didn't answer immediately. Hearing it from someone else stung in a strange way, part satisfaction, part pity. "People get what they deserve," she said softly, as if reading my thoughts. "You just have to focus on yourself. Don't let it eat you alive." "I'm trying," I said, watching her retreat back into her home. Back in my apartment, I thought about the child, innocent and caught in the middle. Lena hadn't intended harm, maybe, but her choices had consequences. I felt a surge of empathy I didn't expect. "She's human," I muttered aloud. "She made mistakes. She's paying for them now." But then the anger returned, sharp and bitter. And yet I'm still left picking up pieces of what she broke. I called Mark again, needing someone to balance my thoughts. "Mark, what if I did nothing? Just let it unfold?" "That's what I would do," he said. "You don't have to stoop to cruelty. Karma is slow, but it's effective. You focus on you, she deals with her mess." I nodded, though he couldn't see me. I want to feel nothing for her, but part of me still remembers the good. The life we had. And now it's all gone. "That's normal," he reassured me. "You're allowed to feel conflicted. The key is choosing what comes next. Don't let her mistakes define you forever." I hung up, pacing the apartment. I looked at the empty walls, the quiet that used to feel comforting, and realized that it could be more than just survival. It could be growth. I went to the kitchen, brewed coffee, and tried to focus on the aroma. The simple act of pouring a cup. Small things, tiny routines. They were grounding me, reminding me that life existed outside Lena's shadow. "I can't ruin myself for her," I muttered, gripping the counter. "I won't. I'll rise, slowly, piece by piece." The phone buzzed again. A text from Sarah. "Remember, you are not defined by her. Your life is yours to rebuild." I smiled faintly. Yeah, mine to rebuild. Later that evening, I walked past her building. I didn't stop this time, didn't watch. But I noticed the chaos, the overturned stroller, the scattered toys. The neighbor shaking their head as she tried to manage the child alone. And I realized I didn't need to intervene. Life was teaching her lessons she couldn't avoid. I whispered to myself, bitter and calm at the same time. This is her path. Not mine. I choose mine. I returned home, feeling a strange weight lift from my shoulders. The anger hadn't disappeared, but the need for revenge had. I felt free, almost ready to focus on myself, my life, my growth. Lena's downfall wasn't my victory. My victory was learning to stand again without her. I stared at my phone when it buzzed. Lena, my stomach tightened, but I didn't flinch. I opened the message. Can we talk? I made a mistake. Please, just hear me out. I typed back simply, I'm busy. Take care of yourself. No apology, no explanation, no manipulation. Just calm, measured control. Later, I met Sarah for coffee. She gave me a knowing look. She reached out. Yeah, I said, sipping slowly. And I didn't respond. Not really, you didn't. Her eyebrow raised. No, I realized something today, I said. I don't need her to feel complete. I don't need her apology. I need my life back. I need me. Good, she said, smiling. That's the guy I know. Reclaiming your power. At work, things were different. I led a project presentation and nailed it. Colleagues clapped, congratulated me. But it wasn't the recognition that mattered, it was proof to myself that I could stand tall. Independent. Later, Mark called. I heard about the project. You killed it, man. Thanks, I said, leaning back in my chair. It feels good. Finally, something I can claim as mine. Exactly, he said, and you're only getting started. I nodded, thinking about the hobbies I had left behind, painting, running, even cooking. Small victories. A canvas finished, a morning run completed, a meal I didn't burn. Every accomplishment added a piece back to the life Lena had tried to fracture. That evening, my phone buzzed again. Lena, I can't stop thinking about you. Please, meet me. I'm sorry. I laughed softly, shaking my head. She really thinks I'm still trapped in her chaos. I typed back calmly. I've moved on. Focus on your own life. Minutes later, another text. You don't understand. I lost everything because of you leaving me. I need you. I set the phone down and called Mark. She's trying hard. Mark chuckled. Does it matter? No, I said firmly. I'm not that person anymore. I don't react with panic or anger. I observe. I control my response. Sarah called later that night. How's your head? Clearer than it's been in months, I said. I realized something. She can't define me. She can't make me feel powerless anymore. That's huge, she said. Finally, seeing yourself separate from her influence. I smiled, leaning back. I used to think losing her meant losing myself. Now I see I can exist, thrive, and grow without her. And honestly, it feels freeing. A few days later, I ran into her at the grocery store. She froze when she saw me. Hi, she said softly. Hi, I replied, calm, composed, not a trace of the old desperation in me. I've made a mistake, she said, voice trembling. I can't imagine my life without you. I understand, I said, keeping my tone steady, but my life doesn't include you anymore. She looked down, shame and longing mixed in her eyes. Please, just one chance. I shook my head. No, Lena, you had your chance. I'm focused on myself now. I hope you can do the same. She swallowed hard, nodding, and walked away. I watched her leave without the ache I used to feel. Instead, I felt pride. I had stayed composed. I had reclaimed control. That night, I tried painting again. The brush moved freely, no hesitation, no doubt. I painted landscapes, memories of freedom, visions of new beginnings. Each stroke reminded me that my life wasn't dictated by her, that I could create something beautiful on my own. Mark called again. You're different, man. I can tell. You've grown. I have, I admitted, and I finally realize it's not about revenge. It's not about proving her wrong. It's about me, my life, my happiness. Sarah texted, proud of you. Keep going. Don't stop. I smiled at the message. For the first time in months, the future didn't feel heavy with betrayal or pain. It felt open, possible, mine to shape. I realized something crucial. I didn't need Lena's presence, her apology, or her recognition to feel worthy. I was enough. I always had been, but I had forgotten. Now I remembered.
And this time, I wasn't letting anyone, especially her, take that away from me. The knock on my door startled me. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened it slowly and froze. "Lena," I whispered, barely recognizing the woman standing there. Her hair was messy, clothes wrinkled, eyes red from crying. She looked broken. I need your help," she stammered. "Please, I have nowhere else to go." I stepped back, keeping my voice calm. "Lena. This is unexpected. Come in, but just for a minute." She entered cautiously, glancing around my apartment as if seeing it for the first time. I don't deserve this, I know." "I suppose you don't," I said quietly, closing the door behind her. "But you showed up anyway." She sank into the couch, burying her face in her hands. "I lost everything, everything I tried to build. I thought I could handle it, and I failed. Please, I need you." I remained standing, arms crossed. "You mean you need me to fix it?" "No," she cried, lifting her tear-streaked face. I don't know who else to turn to. I've made mistakes, I've hurt people, and I can't face it alone." I took a deep breath, trying to steady the storm of emotions inside me. Anger. Sadness. That old familiar tug of love. "Lena, you're here because you failed. You're here because your choices finally caught up with you." "Yes," she whispered, nodding. "And I regret it all. God, I was selfish. I never appreciated you. I left you for nothing real. Please, can you forgive me?" I felt my chest tighten. Forgive her? Could I? The thought of opening that door, even emotionally, was terrifying. "Why now?" I asked, my voice low, deliberate. "After everything, why come to me?" Because I realized you were the only constant," she admitted, tears spilling again. "You always believed in me, even when I didn't deserve it. And I want that back. Not to take, but to. I don't know, just, to be seen." I shook my head, pacing slowly. Being seen. Lena, being seen doesn't undo betrayal. It doesn't erase months of lies. You abandoned me emotionally, and now you expect me to, what? Open my arms? "No," she shouted, then immediately sobbed. "I don't expect that. I thought if I came, maybe I could start fixing something. Even if it's just admitting my failures to you." I stopped pacing, leaning against the wall, staring at her. She looked smaller somehow, vulnerable in a way I hadn't seen before. And yet part of me, the part that still remembered her laugh, her smile, the warmth we shared, wanted to reach out. "You're still hurting," I said softly. "And I don't know if I'm ready to stop hurting. Seeing you like this, it doesn't erase what I felt, what I lost." "I know," she whispered, voice cracking. I thought if I could tell you, maybe you could understand. Maybe I could face the consequences with someone who knew me best." "You're facing consequences," I said. "And I'm watching. I'm observing. I'm not interfering. You need to live with your mistakes, Lena. Not for me, but for yourself." "I can't do it alone," she said, voice barely audible. "I can't." "You can," I replied firmly. "And you will. That's the lesson you refused to learn before. You're asking for compassion, but I can't give you what would make your pain easier. I can listen, and I can care from a distance. But I cannot erase what you've done." She lowered her gaze, silent now, understanding, or maybe just realizing, that I had changed. That I had grown stronger, that I no longer needed her to define me. I don't know how you do it," she whispered. "How you can be calm, when I ruined everything." "I realized something important," I said quietly, sitting across from her. You don't get to control me anymore. You don't get to manipulate my emotions. My life is mine. And compassion doesn't mean surrender. I can feel, and I can care, without letting you destroy me again. Tears rolled down her cheeks, and she nodded slowly. I understand. I really do. I wish I had learned this before. Then learn it now, I said softly. Live with what you've done. Face the consequences. And maybe, eventually, you'll understand that life doesn't bend for anyone's convenience. She looked up, hope and regret mingling in her eyes. Thank you, for listening. For being honest. I nodded, feeling a strange mix of relief and sorrow. That's all I can give. You need to fix yourself. I'll continue fixing me. She stayed a few moments longer, silent, before finally standing. I'll go. I don't want to overstep. Good, I said. Go. And remember, you chose this path. Walk it, Lena. Walk it. I closed the door behind her and leaned against it, heart pounding. I felt anger, residual love, and empathy, all tangled together. But above all, I felt control, mature, measured, unshakable. For the first time in months, I knew I could face her without losing myself. Lena's eyes met mine again that evening, red-rimmed and weary. She didn't say anything at first, just stood there, shrinking as if the air itself judged her. She began, hesitating. I know I don't deserve to be here, but You don't, I interrupted softly, letting the words hang between us. You've seen the consequences of your choices, haven't you? Her lips trembled. Yes. I lost my friends, my respect, even the people I thought I could rely on. I didn't respond immediately. I just watched her. There was no triumph in my gaze, no satisfaction to be had from her suffering. Just observation, a quiet acknowledgement of karma quietly unfolding. I thought I could cheat life, she whispered, and no one would notice. But it all came crashing down. You made your choices, I said, voice steady. And life has its own way of balancing the scales. She nodded, swallowing hard. I can't undo anything. I can't take back what I did, or how I hurt you. I know, I replied. That's the point. You have to live with it, reflect on it, and, maybe learn from it. There was a long silence. I could feel the weight of her guilt pressing into the room, pressing into me. I didn't need to gloat. Watching her confront herself was enough. Later, I met Mark for coffee. I told him about the encounter. She was humbled, I said quietly. Not broken entirely, but she sees it now. She can't hide behind lies anymore. Mark smirked, shaking his head. Life has a strange way of doing its work. Karma isn't cruel, it's honest. You didn't have to intervene. I know, I said. I realized something. Watching her fall, it's not about revenge. It's about understanding that the balance restored itself. That's justice enough. You sound calm, he said, impressed. Almost free. I feel free, I admitted. For months, I carried anger, confusion, grief. But now, I just feel clarity. The world isn't mine to punish. I only need to reclaim my peace. That night, I found myself thinking about her, not with longing, but with curiosity and reflection. She had chased happiness selfishly, leaving me behind, and now she faced the consequences. The social whispers, the cold stares, the friends who no longer trusted her, karma's quiet whispers. I remembered a neighbor, Mr. Chen, telling me, sometimes the worst lessons come without you lifting a finger. Life has its way. He was right. I had done nothing to orchestrate her downfall. I simply lived my life, and the consequences of her own choices had revealed themselves. I texted Sarah. It's strange. I feel at peace. Watching her face reality is not satisfying, just real. Her reply was immediate, that's growth. That's maturity. You've moved beyond needing her collapse to validate your life. I smiled. That's exactly what it felt like, beyond need, beyond obsession, beyond lingering hurt. A week later, I saw Lena again, passing my street. She didn't look up. Her shoulders slumped, her steps hesitant. No confrontation, no pleading. Just the quiet weight of her own mistakes. I whispered to myself, this is the life you chose, Lena. Own it. It wasn't joy I felt, nor triumph. Just recognition. Life had a way of correcting itself when left alone. Her world was smaller now, the laughter she once claimed faded into whispers of regret. I thought back to the child she had tried to raise, caught in the middle of choices she didn't fully understand. I hoped, quietly, that she could find a way to repair at least that part of her life. Not for me, not for her ego, but for the innocent life she touched. Mark called later that night. You okay? Better than okay, I said. I feel untethered. Like I can move forward without the weight of her shadow. That's good, man. You've earned it. I did, I said, thinking back to all the nights of sleepless pain, the obsession, the heartbreak. And I finally see, life's justice doesn't need my applause. It happens naturally, quietly, and I just witness it. The next morning, I brewed coffee and watched the sunrise through my window. I thought about Lena one last time, not with longing, not with anger, but with a quiet awareness that life's balance had been restored. I whispered softly to myself, the scales are even now. I can breathe again. And I did. The doorbell rang, and I felt a momentary tightening in my chest. I already knew who it was. I opened the door, and Lena stood there, eyes glossy, hands trembling. I need to talk to you, she said, voice breaking. Please, just a few minutes. I stepped aside. Come in. But only for a few minutes. She hesitated, then walked in slowly, avoiding my gaze. I've thought about everything I've done, everything I've taken from you. I can't undo it, but I want to. I want to make amends. I gestured toward the couch. Sit. Tell me what you want me to hear. She sank down, hands twisting nervously. I know I hurt you. I left you, I lied, and I thought I could chase a life that wasn't mine. I was selfish. God, I wish I could take it all back. I sat across from her, studying her. She looked genuinely broken, but the old spark, the charm, the manipulations, were gone. You can't take it back, Lena. That's not how it works. You lived your choices. You faced their consequences. That's the truth. I just thought, maybe you could forgive me, she whispered, eyes glistening. Maybe we could start over. I leaned back, folding my arms. Start over. Lena, do you understand what you're asking? Do you understand what it would mean for me to open my life to you again? Yes, she said softly. I know I don't deserve it, but I can't live without trying. I shook my head slowly. I've spent months learning something important. My life doesn't depend on you anymore. My happiness doesn't depend on your approval, your presence, or your mistakes. She bit her lip, trembling. I understand. I hoped. You hoped to reclaim what you lost? I asked. My tone was calm, almost clinical, but inside I felt the old twinge of hurt. Lena, I loved you. I trusted you. But love isn't a leash. And trust can't be rebuilt by words alone. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Please, can't you just try? Just, forgive me. I can forgive you, I said slowly, but that doesn't mean you come back into my life. Forgiveness is about freeing myself, not letting you undo the past. I've realized something crucial: I don't need to punish you, and I don't need to reward you. I just need peace. She wiped her eyes, looking at me, hope and fear mixed in her gaze. Peace, without me? Yes, I said firmly. Without anyone who hurt me. Without anyone who could take my control away. I choose my path, Lena. And that path doesn't include going backward. She shook her head, whispering, I never thought you'd be this strong. I had to be, I said. For me. For my life. For every sleepless night I spent wondering if I was enough. I am enough. And now I finally know it. Her hands fell to her lap, silent tears continuing to fall. I understand, she said softly. I truly do. I wish I had learned this lesson before I broke everything. And that's your path now, I said quietly. You face what you've done, you live with it, and you grow. But I walk forward. Alone, if I choose. Strong, because I've reclaimed myself. She nodded slowly, finally standing. Thank you, for your honesty. And, for listening. I don't deserve your grace, but I'm grateful anyway. You don't need to deserve it, I replied. Just live your life with it. Learn from it. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. Will you ever think of me? I smiled faintly, calmly. I'll remember you, Lena. The lessons, the pain, the moments that shaped me. But I won't let you control my future. That's mine to create. The door closed behind her, and I exhaled deeply, a weight lifting I hadn't realized I was carrying. I felt clarity, a calm I hadn't felt in years. I was no longer a victim of betrayal, no longer tethered to someone who once hurt me deeply. I walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. I thought about the past, the heartbreak, and the lessons. And then I thought about tomorrow. For the first time in a long time, I felt truly free. I had chosen my path. And it was mine alone. I sat on the balcony, sunlight spilling across the floor, and let out a slow breath. For the first time in months, I didn't feel hollow. The past with Lena was behind me. Completely. My phone buzzed. Sarah. Coffee later? You need to celebrate surviving your own heartbreak. I smiled. I replied quickly, absolutely. See you in an hour. As I closed the phone, my gaze fell on the old photograph on the shelf. Lena and I, smiling, arms wrapped around each other during a vacation we had dreamed about for years. I picked it up, fingers brushing the frame. I whispered to myself, this was real, but it doesn't control me anymore. The door opened quietly behind me. Lena stepped in, hesitant. She carried nothing, no pleading, no demands. Just her presence. I came to say goodbye, she said softly, voice steady despite her shaking hands. I've learned. I can't rewrite the past, but I need to leave it with you, where it belongs. I gestured to the balcony chair. Sit. Say what you need. I wanted you to know that I understand everything now, she said, eyes glistening. I lost trust, respect, and, maybe even myself. And I have no one to blame but me. You're right, I said. And I've learned something too. I've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean letting someone back in, and closure doesn't require their presence. It comes from within. She nodded, tears escaping. You're stronger than I ever imagined. I thought I could hurt you and still control you. I see now. I never could. I smiled faintly. You never could, Lena. Not because of me, but because I chose my own path. Silence fell for a moment, but it was not uncomfortable. It was final, like the quiet after a storm. I want to leave this with you, she said, sliding a small envelope across the table. Nothing more than acknowledgement. No requests. No guilt. Just a token of apology. I picked it up carefully, feeling the weight of the gesture. I don't need tokens, Lena. I only needed the truth, and you gave me that in your way. Her lips trembled. Will you ever think of me? I shook my head, calmly. I'll remember what I need to, lessons, memories, pain, and growth. But thinking of you, that's for the past. My future isn't tied to you anymore. She lowered her gaze, taking a slow breath. I understand. I really do. Thank you, for showing me the life I can't take back, and for letting me leave it with you. I watched her stand, the weight of her guilt balanced by her reflection. Goodbye, Lena, I said. Live, learn, and don't return to the life you left behind. She hesitated, then smiled faintly through her tears. Goodbye, and thank you. The door clicked softly behind her, and I sat alone. The photograph still rested in my hands. I looked at it one last time and whispered, the past stays, but I am free. I heard a knock and then Sarah's cheerful voice. You ready for that coffee? I grinned. Absolutely. Let's go. Walking out, I felt light. For months, my chest had carried the weight of betrayal, anger, and longing. Now, it was gone. The lessons were clear: trust is precious, love is vulnerable, and self-worth is non-negotiable. I didn't need revenge to feel justified. Life had a way of balancing itself, and I had learned to step aside, watch, and reclaim my strength. At the coffee shop, Sarah raised her cup. To surviving, to thriving, and to finally being untethered. I clinked my cup against hers. To choosing my path, and walking it with my own feet. We laughed, the sound filling the space around us. Outside, the world continued, people. Rushing, lives unfolding. But I felt grounded, rooted in my own choices, ready to embrace the next chapter without fear or hesitation. Later, I returned home. The photograph went back on the shelf, a reminder not of loss, but of growth. The envelope from Lena stayed in a drawer, unopened, symbolic, acknowledgement without attachment. I ran my fingers along the balcony railing, the evening breeze brushing against my face. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt complete. No anger, no longing, no shadows of the past. Just me, fully present, fully in control. And for the first time in years, I felt truly ready. I whispered to the empty apartment, this is my life. My choices. My peace. And I meant it.